Imagine this for a moment. If you had 50, 75 people that paid you ideally, introduced you when you asked, you liked each other, they listened to all your advice, and then because you've given them such a great experience and results and it's a great relationship, they just start sending you people without you asking, and that was your army that you created, what would your business look like?
Welcome to Sales Assassins, the podcast that unveils the lost art of word-of-mouth marketing for professionals just like you. We cover everything from building relationships and nurturing connections to overcoming the challenges of modern marketing. You'll learn how to stand out in a crowded market, charge confidently for your services, and create an army of people recommending you without hesitation. Now, let's dive in and make you deadly effective at sales. Welcome to episode number 1 of Sales Assassins. Joe, are you ready to get it?
Man, I am ready. Let's get this thing on.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited to dig into more of these episodes. If you haven't had a chance, go check out the intro episode for sure. Give you a little bit of context around this. But this Sales Assassins podcast, we're definitely educating folks on this idea of what the Sales Assassins program is all about and these core elements. In these first few episodes, we really want to set some of these foundations for not only the program and what it's all about, but what they're going to learn and we're going to dive into more in future episodes. And this first one, I really wanted to dig into PILLRs. That is, as it sounds, a core foundation of Sales Assassins, and not only what the PILLRs are, but the origin of them is just fantastic. So I want to get into that in this episode. So walk us through, I guess, first off, just what the heck PILLR, the PILLRs system even is.
Sure. Well, a pillar, and you can build your business, and I would recommend you build your business on PILLRs. A pillar in your business is a client, a person that pays you ideally first. So the P is pay. They pay you your ideal amount. Then if you do your work and you do a great job and you ask for an introduction properly, they will introduce you to the people you want to be introduced to. So that's the I. Then if you're going to spend a lot of time with people and you're building a word of mouth business and you're doing the things you like to do business, you actually have to like the people you spend time with. So that first L would be, we like each other. They like me. They like being around me. They like coming to my events. I like them. I like seeing them. I don't dread it. And I've had some people I dread being around. They're, a couple blocks away at my house. But no, in all seriousness, but you got to like one another.
Yeah. And not to stop the flow of this, but it sounds like especially if you're new, I think it sounds like, this like each other. What the heck? I'm here in business and have clients and stuff. And the second you have a client you really don't like, or vice versa, they don't like you, you'll understand the truth of that.
And in a hurry. So if I like you and you're introducing me to people and you're paying me ideally, I also, as the business owner, I want you to listen to me. I don't want to haggle over price. I don't want to go back and forth on my recommendations. I don't give my second best ideas. I give my best idea and I own that. So listen to me, take my advice. And then there's no A's in PILLR. We're talking about that right now because we don't have any A-holes. Like if you want your life to be a lot better and your business to flow and your team to be appreciated, don't let them into your business. We'll teach you how to avoid them. And I go straight to R. So it's PILLR. And that R is unsolicited referrals, meaning I didn't even have to ask. So if you do this well and you train your clients to think of you and have psychic real estate, meaning, hey, when I have this problem, I know Jason pops into my head, and whoever is talking to me about that, I say, hey, you need to go talk to Jason. That's word of mouth, by the way, in its essence. So they give me unsolicited referrals. And it's a process and an actual progression of starting with those PILLRs, pulling through a pipeline, working with my connections, whether it's in person, online, my phone, or whatever it is, talking to influencers, people that we both may benefit financially with or that you have some influence over so that I can get some leverage in my outputs and the activities I'm doing. And then the biggest hitters in my community or my space or my niche. Did you like how I said niche? I've never said that before. That was awesome. I think it's niche where I come from.
As soon as you get a show, you get fancy.
I know.
I like
stepping it up a notch. But But so when you think of it overarching, it's now I have my business is people that pay me ideally. I'm getting introductions when I ask properly. I like what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with. They listen to me, and I don't deal with any assholes, so I don't have to deal with that. Now, that doesn't mean someone can't have an off moment, but an asshole by definition is someone, an a-hole by definition. That's somebody that they don't really realize how they impact to the universe. So they're just like that. They're not having a bad day or a bad moment. You and I think in one of our recording sessions may have ran into someone last week. We'll tell that story someday. Yeah. And then the unsolicited referral, that's kind of the end game. If you do well providing the experience, you will start to get more and more unsolicited referrals. And a lot of people get them now. It's random. So what PILLRs does, everyone's infatuated with scaling with systems and all this stuff. Yeah, that's great. Those break and involve technology. So every time you get one running, you have to restart because a new one comes out. This is a people system. This is how do I systematically get in front of the right people and build my business on word of mouth. That doesn't mean you don't do all those other things. It just means get this foundation down, get this skill set down, and you can go build a business anywhere, anytime. I'm on my 4th one. And, this is my first podcast. So let's do the math. I did it all with this.
Yeah.
It's word of mouth.
Yeah. And that's another of these core foundations that we're going to hit in the next episode. Because again, word of mouth, it fits into that bucket. Like you said, people get referrals now. They have some word of mouth, but they think it's just something that happens. And
right.
No, there's a system to that.
There's an art of science to getting it consistently.
Yeah, and I want to dig in deep with that in that next episode.
Sure.
Walk us through, now that we know what PILLR stand for. This isn't something that you're just like, what would be good? Let's see, PILLRs. This came out of real world. Okay.
Well, fortunately and or unfortunately, yes. Where it came from was, when I started out in business, I was an insurance agent. I went farm to farm. I sold life insurance, long-term care, and variable annuities and so forth in Iowa. I'm not from Iowa, but I made my way to Iowa out of Illinois early. And I went farm to farm, and I did direct sales, and I had some success there. And then I went into investments and went door to door. And that, when door to door, you're selling on a doorstep. So it's direct sales and you're trying to, make money. And I was young and everything. And then when I left that company, I went to Merrill Lynch and I started learning more about advisory or consultative sales and things like that. And, we were on a run and we were working with, at that time, there's lots of coaches and consultants and within the company and out, trying to tell you how to build a business. And there's some of those guys are still around. I got a book from one of them that, a great mentor and really talking about how to provide an experience. And we did a pretty good job of that, but we were still young enough to where we were bringing in clients that probably fit the A bucket. And then we went through 08, 09, and we found out who the A's were and who didn't listen to us. And we didn't really like them. They weren't introducing anyone to us and they weren't really paying us that much. Now, I didn't call it that back then. I just, in retrospect, I'm like, okay, what made us make that shift from taking everything and being everything to everyone to really starting to generate word of mouth business or, a skill set where we can go into any community, any association, any charity, whatever it was, and start getting people to know, like, and trust us and pay us, which is what that is. And I did that as an advisor when I, went up through the ranks through recruiting. I recruited that way. When I left Merrill and started my first business from there, I did the same thing. And I've just learned that if you can get someone that will pay that ideal or at least a minimum, you're going to build a faster and more profitable business than taking anyone that can fog a mirror, which, by the way, was the first set of advice I got was like, if they can fog a mirror, they're a client. And as beginners, we just like, oh, I got to survive, man. So we build up our own demise. And that 08, 09, when the markets went crazy and the world was falling apart and the people that didn't listen to us essentially showed their true colors, that was where I really started firing clients, drawing a line in the sand, making it, I pretty much had to like you at that time for us to do business together. Like there had to be a likability. And over the different iterations, it's come out where like that is the core pillars of pillars that makes a great client. And if you have an army of those people, like just imagine this for a moment. If you had 50, 75 people that paid you ideally, introduced you when you asked, you liked each other, they listened to all your advice, or and it doesn't matter what the product is, the product's you at the end of the day anyway. And then because you've given them such a great experience and results and it's a great relationship, they just start sending you people without you asking. And that was your army that you created. What would your business look like?
Oh, yeah.
I've done it all, by the way. Door knock, seminars, direct mail, cold calls. Someone has talked me into start to do online ads, and that I would rather, take an ice pick to the forehead. I mean, it's just, it's one of those things that if you get that foundation, no one can take that away from you, and you can go do it anywhere. And in Assassins, we've got people that, we had a guy get an ovation on Zoom the other day because his confidence level is night and day, and they all knew it. And he said something, and it was like that moment of like, oh, holy, and they were like, because he changed, because he invoked the pillars. He eliminated assholes. He was doing business with people he liked. He was setting an ideal and minimum in place where before he was taking anything you get. It changes you here, but it also transforms your business.
Yeah, and that's the perfect thing to hit on too, is that confidence, because it's, yes, there's a system to this, but there's a confidence before and after too that I think you have to have. You have to let in at least a little bit that you can stand in this. I know what I'm doing. I deserve to put pillars into place, right?
People buy belief. And, like when you say when I know what I'm doing, that goes to the listen. I mean, and I tell our assassins all the time that you don't have a second best idea. Like if my pillar listens to my recommendation, I recommend you do XYZ so that you get XYZ. I'm giving you the best one. I said, and I was young, and one lady in a seminar called me cocky. And I looked at her and I said, I know a lot of unsuccessful advisors you can talk to, and my partner's about shit, because I said that in Bloomington Country Club in front of like 55 people. But what I was saying was like, I don't have second best ideas. I believe what I'm doing is the best. It's not that I'm like arrogant that I'm the best. It's just, I believe what I'm saying is the best. And when you get people that listen, your confidence comes from, they're taking my best idea. That's a big thing. And early in the game, what I see with a lot is that they want to give a bunch of choices, because they just they're fishing for the yes. So it's like, well, do you want this one? Do you want this one? Do you want this one? Well, as a consultative sales professional or someone that renders advice in any forum, insurance, investments, real estate, law, CPA, why would you ever offer your third best idea to someone?
Because in an ideal, if you're aligned, right? If you're living your truth and your value, if you give them those three and they choose the third best, and you don't say, we can do that, it's my third best, then like, what are you doing? How are you going to sleep at night? Right?
Well, now you got to win that race, and it's your third best idea. You've just set yourself up for disaster. And, there is an integrity component to being a professional. So I encourage people, and it goes back to those pillars, is like, find people that when you give your advice, they're like, that's what I need. That's what I want. I ran into it a lot early as well, and it just takes reps and courage, but it's more about believing in what you're doing. Like, do you believe what you just gave someone in a recommendation is the best? If so, don't go somewhere else. When you get bad advice, you can go on the interwebs and get all kinds of, I got the can you follow me here, but there's also tell them what they need, sell them what they want. Give the advice, but if they want something else, that's on the client, right? Well, that's not generally how arbitration works. Just FYI, if anybody wants to know how that ends up, if you answer that, that's not going to go well. But my point being is, in pillars, if you can align those within the relationship, that R comes probably faster. And again, there's not perfection. Perfection's not a standard, but just, can I get someone into my business that pays me an ideal amount? And the ideal amount isn't, hey, it's pie in the sky, I want this dollar amount. It's more based on what your time's worth and how much capacity you have and how much of a team you build out. So if I have a client paying me $10,000 and I'm taking clients that pay me $2,000, ethically, I'm robbing this person.
Yeah.
Because it takes the same amount of time, energy, and effort to provide service, and I'm giving it to this person at this dollar amount. So there's that. I mean, there's some morality and ethics involved in it as well. So when you hit that ideal, and we talk about, how to ratchet that up, given your, your muscle memory, but quite frankly, that's a great way to get started, and then progress through those other, can I get the introductions? Have they given me introductions? How much likability is there? Are they taking our advice? Like it's been a little choppy in the markets, for example, in investments, but in the insurance world, rates have gone up across the board. In all, businesses, prices have gone up. So are they listening? Are they saying, yeah, I still value what you're consulting or advising me on versus the price? That's an indicator. Price becomes an issue, back up and look through all those things. So that's something we spend a lot of time on in the group, is how to deal with that. And especially younger in the business, when you don't have, a lot of people in business today have not been through 08, 09.
Yeah.
You got to remember that. They've only seen this and that blip of COVID that kind of disrupted the universe. But quite frankly, they've never seen catastrophic financial times. So, and that impacts every business. So they don't have a frame of reference of what it's like when the tide goes out.
Right, exactly.
And this will help. I promise you, if all you do is ever watch this episode, if you got pillars, when that tide goes out, you're going to thank me.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of random assholes paying you less than you deserve, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's, if you're in the middle of business and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not there, just start down this path. It doesn't have to happen overnight and all of that. I hope this comes as a relief to folks, especially, again, starting out, or if they've been, they've jumped from corporate over to doing their own thing and they're just like, oh my gosh. And they've, just like you listed, the marketing channels you can do and possibly do and all this kind of stuff. It's overwhelming. You don't know what's going to work. Like this is the place to start. And then build on top of that. Build in, like it is a phenomenal foundation to then go out and, you know what? I really resonate with this, and this, or it works better with my, with my business. And then
we
start
didn't bring
implementing.
ads into play, Jason, until, making 7 figures. Like I see people out there starting with ads and I'm like, holy, and I'm nothing against it. We're doing 2 platforms but if that's where you're going to build your foundation, I did learn this one the hard way on social media platforms. I was doing some franchise sales when I first came out of Merrill Lynch. And at the time, LinkedIn would allow us to make a post for someone that was a corporate refugee. And they could come in and talk to us about becoming a focal point is what's called a franchisee. And they changed the game rules, and that was no longer something you could post. So I went from 8 to 15 calls a week to 0 like that.
Wow.
Because the platform changed their mind on what we're trying to run meta ads. We started on July 25th. If we're going to date ourselves, August 20. We're a month in. We can't get them on the platform because they keep changing the guidelines. So I'm not saying that's good or bad. What I'm saying is if that's all you have, you're at the mercy of the platform. So if you do pillars, that's you. You take you with you everywhere you go, and you can go into any community. I've moved, 800 and whatever miles away from where I'm raising my kids to the, they call it the Gulf. You can't call it. By the way, I learned this from a big hitter, talking to pillars. I was talking about going to the ocean. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, people down here don't say the ocean. They say the Gulf. So that's why you go out and meet people, because you look like an outsider talking about going to the ocean here. You say the Gulf. I'm going to the Gulf. So that's real life. That happened Wednesday. So, you come to, it's the same thing. I'm coming here to a place I don't know anyone. I'm getting to know all the influencers, the big hitters. And I'm not running billboard ads on Canal. So do you understand? So that paradigm is, from a pillar standpoint, it's portable to any business anywhere. And it's systemizable enough to where you just start layering in the activity and the progression. you'll get out and you'll get opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's not slave to the overlords at Google, Facebook, whatever.
Right. No, that's great.
And I know I went on a tangent there, but it's real to me right now. And it polarized to me the importance of being able to build a, successful, profitable business word of mouth and not have an outside variable that's 100% out of my control determine whether or not I make it or not.
Yeah. Well, and I love that. I love those examples. And I know you've got so many of those. And I know for me, that's what makes these things real, right? When I can grab on to, oh, here it is in real life. Here's where this came from. Here's how I'm using it today. Here's how somebody in Assassins used it yesterday. Like that's gold. So I love all of those for sure. I think this gives people a good foundation of the foundation, right? A good idea of what this is all about. And again, I hope it's a relief. It's like, oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. If I can do it, here, gang, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not. Right. You could ask the people that really know me. I'm not even that likable. So, but I think what I want really at the end of the day, what I'm after is it's somewhat of a lost art as well because of the popularity of the internet. So I think it's kind of, gone by the wayside. And I'm living proof. And I know I can start listing people out. If you want us to post the testimonials, we will. It works if you do it, just like anything else. You got to go out and do it, get out of your comfort zone and learn how to do it.
Yeah.
All right. My preaching for today.
Fantastic. I think that's a good place to wrap. And I encourage people to jump into more of these episodes, find out more about Assassins as well. And we'll see you on the next episode. In a sea of endless digital noise, your ability to connect and generate authentic word of mouth is your deadliest weapon. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to break through to the next level, the principles we discuss here are your blueprint for success. It's all about being the most trusted and valued in your network. To maximize what you've learned today, visit joinsalesassassins.com to see how you can become a true sales assassin in your industry. Until next time, keep sharpening your skills, expanding your network, and remember, in the world of sales, the true assassins strike silently but effectively by doing what nobody sees coming, building genuine connections and powerful relationships. Stay deadly, stay authentic, and we'll see you on the next episode of Sales Assassins.
This show is powered by Media Leads. To get your next great podcast produced, go to MediaLeadsCo.com.